Well, hello out there, all you styrene users and abusers. George coming to you from the basement annex at Kitchen Table Scale Models to unveil, for lack of a better word, um, my attempt to build a 1931 Rolls-Royce Henley Roadster by Brewster. Uh, this build was done for the Billy Bear model car videos, vintage monogram classic series group build. Was supposed to be done, oh heck, what, 6 weeks ago now. Life intervened. I had to put it aside to finish a build I was working on for the NNL, Mid Atlantic NNL. This little kit, I've done a number of these monogram kits, and they all gone well, but this one for some reason gave me a number of problems. But before I talk about that, let's talk about the car. 1931 Rolls-Royce Phantom 2 Henley Roadster by Brewster. That's a lot of words. What's it all mean? Back in the 30s, luxury manufacturers such as Rolls-Royce, Duesenberg, I think even Cadillac, and a couple of the other high-end manufacturers, they basically built chassis, and they sent these chassis off to coach builders to build the body. And that's kind of the case of what happened here. What's not clear in the case of the 1931s, the Henley Roadsters were all, from best I can tell, and this I'm just researching on the internet, and I didn't make a major, master's dissertation level research project out of it, but I did do a little research on the builds and the cars, and what I can tell is that most Rolls-Royces were built in Britain, obviously, but they also were built in Springfield, Mass, up until around 1931. I'm seeing conflicting information. 1932 was the first year for that they built the Phantom 2, I think, or somewhere around there. But what I'm seeing that's conflicting is that allegedly none of there were no Phantom 2s built in Springfield, Mass. In the U.S. That they shut down production after 1931. And what's confusing is that the Henley Roadsters by Brewster were all built. The coach work was all done by Brewster Manufacturing, or Brewster Body Works in Long Island City, New York. Brewster had a long and storied history in the coach building world. They actually dated back to 1810, where they started building coaches in New Haven, and were highly regarded as kind of being the creme de la creme of coaches for the people who had money to spend on coaches. They, from what I can tell, is that Brewster built 11 Henley Roadsters. Research that I could find indicates that they built two on Phantom 1 chassis, 9 on Phantom 2 chassis. I got to tell you, I've seen a lot more than 11 Henley Roadsters in my research on this project, so I can't explain that. I'm just repeating what I've read. Phantom 2 chassis came with a 7.7 liter overhead valve 6 that made 128 horsepower at something like 3,000 horsepower at 3,000 RPM. So it was kind of a big lumbering old engine. Beautiful cars, absolutely gorgeous cars. This car is built. The paint job on this car, the paint combination, is based off of a color combination I saw when I was researching it. I found one online, painted this color, and decided I wanted to do it. The red is Mr. Color Wine Red, and that little yellow stripe down the middle is Model Car World, Scale Auto Finishes Dodge D3 Yellow, which coincidentally is also the same color I used on my Porsche Speedster build. This build gave me a little bit of trouble right from the beginning. I actually had to use 2 kits in the making of this, in the building of this model, or went through 2 kits more accurately. What you see here is pretty much based off of the 1972 issue. But that's not where I started. I started with the 1982 issue of this kit, which was molded in a hideous frog gut green. And I got the chassis together, and when I started, what I like to do is put the chassis together and paint it all as assembly. And I got the chassis together, and I'm looking at it, and something wasn't right, and I realized that I mounted all these cross members upside down, which once the chassis was assembled using Tamiya quick acting cement, this wasn't coming apart. I mean, it just wasn't coming apart without damaging it. So eBay to the rescue. I got online, I found a replacement kit for about 30 bucks, and well, that's what you see here. And I just realized I left the door handle off that little rumble seat door. I do know where that is, and I'll be able to put it on. But yeah, so this is it. It was a fun build, but challenging. A final assembly always gives me a fit on builds, and in the pictures, this one doesn't look too bad. But believe me, in person, I've got more fingerprints and glue smears on this than I care to think about. Did a couple things different with it. Let's stop this as it's coming around. The dashboard on here, as you can see, is not the kit dashboard. I made that dashboard out of a piece of mahogany left over from a Detail Masters pickup truck bed kit. It was the kit that I used on my 40 or 55 Ford pickup. You can see what a mess I made of the windshields. Getting those mirrors mounted were a pain in the butt. But anyway, going back to the dashboard, I cut that out of a piece of mahogany, and I used some, I guess it was Detail Master, I guess it was Detail Master street rod gauges. Look real similar to what the original car had. But the interior color on this is dull red. The top, convertible top, I was debating, do I want it with the up top or do I want it with the tonneau cover? I decided to go with the tonneau cover. That paint on there is the Model Car World texture paint that they use for duplicating vinyl tops, and I think it looks pretty good. Not much detailing on this. Again, pretty much out of the box. The only thing I did different is I did, like I said, I did the wood dash. I also glued the rumble seat and doors shut. I kind of was doing that to save time on the build. In the long run, I think it actually made me more work than I otherwise would have had. Engine came out pretty good. It's an engine. It's a Rolls-Royce engine. They used, again, as I said, were 7.7 liter overhead valve V6s. That's a darn big V6, or inline six. I mean, each cylinder is, you think about it, each cylinder is like 1,200 cc's. A little unhappy with the way I got a little schmutz on the valve cover on there, but the metal on the bottom is all clad. You see a lot of dust on here. It's really not that, I gotta dust it. Some flaws on the paint. So yeah, that's it. Billy Bear, you've been harassing me to finish this, and I need to thank you for that, because I gotta be honest with you, I could have easily given up on this one had it not been for your poking, prodding, and encouragement. And fun group build. I'm enjoying group builds a lot. I'm trying to choose subjects for group builds that are things that I'd want to build anyway, because if I get too bogged down in doing group builds, if they're not things that I want to build, I'm never going to get things I want to build built. So this is a pretty car. I wanted to do one of these old classic style Roadsters. I still have I got a Duesenberg Roadster, and I think I've got a Cadillac Roadster from Monogram. I also have a bunch of other old vintage classics from Heller and I guess Atelieri. Um, and who else? I don't know. Yeah, a couple of old testers kits, but I like the old cars. To me, this is kind of the this when cars were classy. Um, I remember, you still occasionally see old cars like this running around at shows and stuff, and boy, they're just so impressive. I mean, they're imposing. Um, Beautiful automobiles, beautifully built. Um, Unfortunately, the Great Depression kind of wiped out this market, if you will, at least for several years. Well, I guess it's kind of returned to some degree. But anyway, I'm kind of babbling and going off in a direction that I don't need to go because it doesn't get me where I want to be. So I'm gonna thank you all for watching, and thank you all for subscribing to the channel and liking these videos. And most of all, I want to thank Matthew, and I want to thank Billy for throwing this group build out there, and just say I'm glad to have it done. So next up, the 67 GTO kit for Lucas C. and the Scale Auto podcast gang. I don't know, I can't keep them all straight. They're all kind of crossbreeding here and morphing into one another. But yeah, I think it was a Lucas C. build, Scale Model podcaster. Anyway, it was to build the 67 GTO, and that's next up on the bench, on the table. I've got some plans for that. Nothing crazy. Want to build it pretty much using what's in the car, but I'm going down another rabbit trail that I don't need to go down right now because it's not where I want to be. Yeah, so this is my Rolls Royce. Hope you like it. It's a shelf turd, a slightly polished shelf turd, but a shelf turd nonetheless, because that's all I build. I build for me, and I'm happy with the way it looks. I like looking at it on the shelf. This one's probably not going to see the light of day as far as shows or even taken to Model Club because there's just too much wrong with it when you start looking close, and it's just not something that I'm pleased with the overall look of the build from a design standpoint or a concept standpoint. To me, it's almost a 10 out of 10. It's really, I think I really nailed the look. Just the quality of my execution left a little bit to be desired here. But, it's going on the shelf, and I'll put it next to my 32 Cadillac and get on to the next one. So, thanks for watching.